This February, history will be made. Millions will watch as 80 years of unjust stigma is left in the past. A product that drove good people to the black market will be revealed as one that's creating a new global market. This February, what inspired the symbol of counterculture will at long last be seen as just culture. The new normal is coming. Will you be one of the first to see it? Visit medmen.com to watch an exclusive preview.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Kev. Just want to give you a quick disclaimer before the episode starts. We are a comedy and crime podcast, so that means that we do cover real and serious events and cases. However, we do crack a lot of inappropriate jokes and we bring a lot of satire to it. So just in case that's not your thing, we want to give you a heads up so we don't get any more angry emails, people calling us stupid boys. But yeah, enjoy the episode, be good, stay safe, and laugh at the dark stuff. Hashtag Wildman.
All right, fellas, like we practiced.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Come on down. Come on down. Hanging with the brothers tonight, yeah. Come on down to the brothers Commonplace tonight.
Alrighty, welcome everyone to the Brothers Commonplace, a comedy and crime podcast where we cover monsters, murders, mysteries, and more. And today we got a real brutal, dark murder mystery for you guys. But before we jump into that case, I want to introduce you to these good, fine boys of mine. Let's just say if these boys were slices of bread, they'd be the butt ends.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Nice. He would throw us away.
No, I eat that shit. Make peanut butter.
What's going on, guys? This is Tim, or Soul Man, as they used to call me, before that ginger bitch Alan fucked up my shoes. Just a fucking Jumanji joke.
Oh, I thought it was like literally a Soul Man joke with like Eddie Murphy.
It's literally just a Jumanji joke, dude.
Hey, what up, everybody? This is Spence, and today's episode is dark. It is dark like Dove's chocolate ice cream bars.
Oh shit. Now I want one of those.
With some fava beans.
Oh, fuck yeah. Alright, just fucking sauce
He
Williams.
was making the noise. I don't know if the mic picked it up, but he was making the noise.
I love it.
Hey everybody, this is Toof. I don't have an opening or a joke, so I'm just going to show the brothers my penis because that's probably the best joke I can deliver right now.
And it's your boy. It's the Kid Ravioli, a.k.a. Kev Boy RD.
Oh, yeah.
And today, we brothers are riding out west to discuss and investigate one of the great murder mysteries. A dark and brutal mystery that involves not only 4 deaths, including kidnapping, but also shoddy police work and possibly a cover-up.
And also, are we heading out west? Because I'm a motherfucking cowboy,
my
baby.
God. Don't.
And if
You know what? Everybody's going to be offended by that now, guys.
So if you couldn't tell, yes, today we will be talking about the Keddie cabin murders.
By the way, Toof, you have already showed us your penis. You showed everybody in Scary Movie with that Polaroid.
I know. Hey, what? Bobby got a baby dick too? Alrighty, and we got some exciting news. We are part of the Murderly podcast family. It's a true crime podcast network. There's a lot of awesome podcasts on there, so you should check them out. Subscribe to them, give them a listen, because they're a lot better than us. There's a ton of super good ones on there.
We're like the Jeffersons. We're moving on up.
We're
man.
moving on up, though.
Yeah.
And everyone on the network put together like a super episode where it's got like 15 minutes or so from each podcast, and we covered like a short case. And it's like over 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And we are somewhere smack dab in the middle of it. We have a 15-minute episode. And we already have gotten a negative review because of it. So just want to give you a heads up on that. I completely understand what the person meant and was saying about it, because we are a comedy podcast. We deal with a lot of satire and stuff. And we come at about an hour and a half in after all these serious and like real true crime podcasts that aren't funny. And then we're in the middle. And she was pretty upset by something that I said, so I take full responsibility for it. What I said was, we recorded this episode right around the time of Roseanne's racist tweet.
Oh, okay.
What I said in it was, I did the thing where I don't fully tell a joke. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I did that, and I said, Oh, never mind. I was thinking of a joke I could say where we go, in honor of Roseanne today, we're recording this episode in blackface.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
But the very next line was, but that's obviously satire and not funny.
Yeah.
And we're just joking.
Ugh.
Yeah. So because of that, we got a 1-star review from this person. But the thing is that episode isn't even on our feed. So that means they heard it, got so upset by it that they looked us up to leave us a 1-star review. But in her defense, I do see where she's coming from because, I mean, it is, if you don't understand the podcast is just, like, if it's just satire and inappropriate jokes, and I didn't put the disclaimer on it because it's only a 15-minute episode.
Maybe
Gotta always add the disclaimer,
maybe don't
man.
stop listening at the joke, though. Maybe listen to the rest, and, I mean, she may have understood, but not saying anything bad. But
this is really funny, though. The review does start off with just a bit of advice. Don't start off your promotional episode with a blackface joke.
Oh, my God.
Which is like pretty good advice for everyone out there. But hey, where were you a week ago? But no, the whole point of that joke was that it's not that we think blackface is funny or anything like that. It's that it's satire. Like, it's so ridiculous and absurd that blackface was ever an actual real thing. Like, that it was ever a real actual thing. And that was kind of the joke about it. But it does come after like an hour and a half of serious true crime. So I can kind of get where she's coming at. So
Okay.
yeah,
if she does ever hear this, which I doubt she would ever listen to an episode.
probably not.
You know, my apologies.
Yeah.
Honorary Brother of the Week. This is just a real quick to the point. Tommy D1118, who just said #Wildman.
That's all you need to
that's
do.
all you need. If you
That's all
want
you
to get
need to do.
if you want to get a shout out and be an honorary Brother of the Week, all you gotta do is leave us a 5-star iTunes review or send us an email. And also, a special shout out to John and his girlfriend from New Zealand.
Nice.
He was an honorary brother before, but they sent us an email. His girlfriend's been listening and left us a review as well. And he said if we ever come to New Zealand, he would buy the first round of beers.
Dude, holy shit.
So I
Wait.
told him we'd buy the second round.
Hey, why are we here?
And then hopefully there's a camera lying around because I feel like we should record our very own Hobbit movie down there. So.
Shit. Let's do it.
Let's do
go.
it.
Like, I don't even want to finish this. Let's go.
Alrighty, today's case is the Keddie murders, or Keddie cabin murders. Now, there's a ton of information on this case. There's giant rabbit holes everywhere. So we aren't going to mention every single detail. So I do apologize if we do leave something out that you think we should have mentioned. And this case has been covered a lot, and a lot of podcasts use information from Keddie28.com because they have a ton of shit on there. So we pulled most of our information from there
Should've
also.
gone there.
I didn't really research this episode much because I really don't want to touch this case because I don't want to be a Keddie diddler.
Oh my god!
Holy shit. Man.
Wow, dude, that is.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you didn't touch on this case too. Since like 15 minutes ago, you asked me what the topic was.
Off air.
So, alrighty. Early morning of April 12th, 1981, 14-year-old Sheila Sharp had spent the previous night over at a neighbor's house and had just returned home to get a change of clothes for church. Unfortunately for Sheila, she was about to walk into one of the most horrifying and brutal murder scenes she could have ever imagined.
No.
My mom's name is Sheila, so
Yeah,
I
know.
keep picturing this as my mom.
I know. I was already doing that.
I was gonna ask, is her name Sheila or is it Sheba?
Sheba.
I was going for it too.
Sheba.
I think we all were.
Inside her home of Cabin 28, she would find that her mother, her 15-year-old brother, and their 17-year-old friend had all been brutally beaten, stabbed, strangled, and murdered. But before we get into all the strange and grisly details, let's talk about the family and a little bit about the town first. Okay. Oh, real quick here. Fuck, this is just going to be a stupid joke. It wasn't even going to be funny.
Was it Powerpuff Girls?
No,
Damn
but the town actually, even though it was like the late 70s, early 80s, they didn't have any telephone, like any telephone poles or any telephone communications, and they had to communicate by Keddigrams.
Oh, shit.
All right, let's move past that. In 1979, the mother, Sue Sharp, was kicked out of her home in Connecticut by her abusive Navy husband named James. That's not all, though. She also had 5 kids that she was taking with her as well. So you got to be a pretty big dickhead
Yeah.
to be an abusive husband and then kick out your wife and your 5 kids. I will say, though, you know that night was probably the best sleep he's ever had
Oh,
in
my
his
God,
entire
yeah.
life, though.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably still sleeping. So Susan and her children moved all around the United States, staying with friends and family along the way. And then finally, in November of 1980, they moved into a 3-bedroom cabin at the Keddie Resort, which was north of Quincy, California. Keddie Resort was a rundown area of cabins that you could rent, and it was located at the foot of a railroad in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And I think that I read it was formerly a resort, but it was later abandoned. And then the cabins were rented out to families that had low income. The population at Keddie Resort was very low. It had under 100 people living there. And in 2010, it had only 66 people living there. So this is like a really small area. I think it said it was like 0.645 square miles.
Yeah.
So with a small town, everyone knows everyone's business.
I'd also probably stop living there after this shit. So,
Well, didn't like half the people leave there after they lost weight, and all the kids grew up? Fuck, I'm trying to make a heavyweights joke.
oh my god, holy shit!
But they kept finding snacks under the chest.
Oh, look, a deli meat. I didn't even think about it, but when 4 people in this town get murdered, that's like 10% of the
Oh yeah,
population.
yeah.
You know?
I was gonna say at that point, I'm surprised it wasn't just one guy in the population that was just the murderer.
Yeah, population U, Tim, Loserville.
Oh fuck, man! You guys found out it was me.
Those billboards about doing drugs, it's like a kid with cigarettes. It's like, welcome to Loserville, population U.
Oh
yeah,
my god.
dude, it would suck so bad to be like the face on one of those billboards. Like,
I know,
this
dude.
is the face of heroin. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, dude.
Dude, probably population Loserville, we make up the 10%.
I know, dude. It's this room.
Think how much like they get them getting paid to be on that billboard. Think how much heroin they can buy with that
That's
money.
true.
God.
Also, think that Andrew left Loserville.
I know,
Oh.
Andrew, you fucking loser. He'll be here next week, baby. We said that last week, too.
If he comes back, though.
Maybe we're lying. Maybe he's dead. Maybe he'll be here.
I know we haven't talked about it in the pod, though, but if the listeners seriously knew how many nipples I had, they probably all leave and join Loserville.
What the fuck?
I mean, that's true.
Okay, moving
we
on.
all
'cause
get
I don't,
fed
just go
from
on.
I
it.
don't
Just go
fucking
on.
know what that means. I don't even know how to take that. So here we go. The Sharp family consisted of the mother, Sue, who was 36, John, who was 15, Sheila, who was 14, Tina, that was 12, Rick, 10, and Greg, 5. That's a lot of kids to have with an abusive husband.
Dude, hopefully Rick Sharp is like a porn star now.
That is a sweet name,
Yeah,
dude.
because Rick Sharp, if you're not a porn star or like a murderer, you're missing out.
You know, I haven't heard anything about Rick or Greg that much.
Damn.
So
Wait, so this is 1980?
yeah.
It wasn't 81.
Well, they moved here in 80.
Okay.
Oh, damn it. I was going to make a joke that they made the 15-year-old in 1969, and maybe if they would have
No.
then they wouldn't have had kids at an early age. All right.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And the beat rolls on.
I respect it all.
And speaking of starting early, 14-year-old Sheila had also recently gotten pregnant.
Oh, like mother, like daughter, baby.
Holy shit, I did not know this part.
However, she was away in Oregon during her pregnancy and had given her baby up for adoption, but she would be back. Like, as we mentioned, she was the one that found the bodies.
Jesus,
Kevin Love was
man.
born in 1981
Kevin-
in
That's
Oregon.
when love started. In the world.
Kevin Green wasn't, so we know that this is not Sheba.
Okay, might as well cross that
Well,
one
let
off.
me see real quick. Let me see a picture.
just to make sure it's not her.
Wait, hang on. When did Mel Hall come in here?
I will say in the last episode, though, it did make the cut where we talked about Rodney Alcala having a bunch of photos of nude teenage boys. You're like, hey, Kev, could you send me those photos? Okay, here we go, guys.
Let me put on my
Fuck.
VR helmet
we
real
got
quick.
we got a lot to get through. The way the house or cabin is set up, it's 2 floors. There's the main level and then the downstairs, but they're only connected by outside steps, so you can't get to the downstairs unless you go outside. And John, the oldest child, was living down there. Rick and Greg, the 2 youngest, shared a room that was adjacent to the living room. And then Sue and the youngest daughter, Tina, shared the bedroom in the rear of the cabin. And Sheila, like we mentioned, was in Oregon while she was pregnant. However, when she came to live at the cabin afterwards, she would share a bedroom with her sister, and then Sue, who was a mom, would usually sleep either in like a twin bed with someone or she would sleep on the pull-out couch.
Did Sheila have like family up in Oregon, or did she just like go up there?
I'm guessing they had to have had family up there or something.
Okay. Maybe if she would have used that couch's technique, she wouldn't have had to have that kid.
Dude.
I'm making the listener think.
So those details on the family, just to give you a general idea on like what the living situation was like there, because it's going to come in play later on. Now, as far as money and a job goes, Sue would receive $250 a month that the Navy would send to her, and that would cover only the rent. And then she would also get food stamps and welfare.
Oh yeah.
But holy shit, $250 for a rent is cheap as fuck.
Oh yeah, it's cheap as fuck.
For a
but
3-room, even if it is.
Also, if you
Hopefully
adjust
not.
$1981 to today, that's probably closer to like $500 a month in today's dollars.
True.
And Sue is said to be a casual, quiet, and reserved girl, somewhat of a loner. She worked a part-time job and was also going to school at the same time, so she had a ton on her plate. And there were also some rumors that she may have been dealing or selling drugs, or she was possibly a prostitute.
Oh, nice.
But I really doubt any of that is actually true, and there's no proof to it. People just kind of throw it in whenever they're talking about
I would
rumors
hope not.
and stuff.
I would hope not.
How would she? I don't see how she would have time for that. She got 5 kids, a part-time job, and going to school. How the hell would you have time to prostitute?
Yeah.
And they did say that there were some drug dealers around the area. But yeah, I really don't see her being involved. She didn't have any extra time, like we said, to do any of that. And after she gets killed during her autopsy, they don't find any drugs in her system.
I was trying. What's that fucking commercial where the girl sings about going to like part-time college and also working stuff? I'm gonna get my degree selling my pussy,
Oh my
working
God.
34 hours a day. What the fuck's that song? It's not DeVry. It's something.
No,
not the right.
it's the free thing.
Some education connection.
Connection,
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
She was-
still, I take it in the ass.
Yeah, dude,
oh,
we
fuck,
can- we
I
sang
forgot
that
that
in there.
song. Oh, yeah.
Then I took it in the ass.
Sue is said to have had many boyfriends during her time here, but she was very quick to end them, sometimes stating that the reason was because of religion or their drinking. She wasn't said to be too fond of either of those.
They may have just given her the money and, just told him to get out. I mean, if we're going with the rumors.
And don't forget, she had come from an abusive relationship with her husband, and unfortunately, she seemed to be heading into those same types of relationships. Shortly before her murder, she was said to have been in a relationship with a guy that, around 6 weeks prior, had been in a very loud argument with her involving lots of curse words, and onlookers said that he looked like he was filled with a shit ton of rage. So she doesn't seem like she always dates the best guys out there, but being in a small town with less than 100 people, there's probably not a whole lot to choose from either.
I mean, when your choices were like the town folk or just some raging Scott Steiner guy, I mean, you got to go with it, man.
I mean, we would all go with Scott Steiner.
Scott Steiner, dude.
Because if you just do the math.
No, dude, that's where I was going. It was going to be a math joke.
Scott Steiner math, if you haven't seen the video, look it up. It's fucking awesome.
It's amazing.
I remember there was one interview with him with this guy. He was like talking about like going out to eat with him. And like he answers super quick. He's like, "Hey Scotty, where are you taking me out to eat tonight?" Cracker Barrel.
Dude, that's Petey Williams when he was doing the mini Scott Steiner gimmick, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, dude, it's so good. And one last note about Sue's relationships. One of her previous boyfriends would be killed 1 month after her murder. He was being chased out of a bar by the deputies, and that's really all the information I could find. I'm not quite sure on the details on how he died, but yeah, he was killed a month later.
Good.
That's pretty cool.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
I'm playing bad cop right now.
Oh,
I mean, it's not cool, but it's interesting. I'll say interesting. I'll change it to interesting.
okay, there we go. Damn, guys, there we go.
Using the wrong terms here, I guess.
Yeah. Come on, you got to do a little good cop, bad cop every now and then.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to say. I guess I didn't mean to say cool, but
I'm just trying to diverse the opinions up.
All right.
I mean, if any of you thought it was cool, give us a 5-star review.
No.
And if you thought it wasn't cool, give us a 5-star review.
Oh, shit. What are you going to do? It's up to you. The choice is yours. The power is yours. And there was also a boyfriend named Daryl that she had began dating a week before the murder as well. They had gone on their last date just 2 days before the murder. He left for the weekend to spend it with his family in Paradise, California.
He also got a really cool job at a warehouse.
Yeah.
Dude, we were all going
I
there.
was
We
about
were
to-
all going there.
Out
Yeah.
of paper.
Yeah, out of stock. He had a chubby daughter, man. He was just trying to hang out with her and stuff.
Take your
and-
panties off.
Take your panties off.
yeah.
Fluffy fingers. Hey, wait, real quick. Tim, her name Bubbles.
Her name Bubble.
So We'll get more into it when we get to the suspects and the actual crime scene, but many believe that the culprit of this crime was most likely somebody that had either dated Sue or was infatuated by her. That is, if Sue was in fact the main intended target of this crime.
Oh.
Hey, how many people... Did anyone survive this? I know you literally said at the very beginning.
A couple of people did.
Well,
I'll get my theory at the end then.
yeah, we'll do theories at
A couple
the
of
end.
hamsters lived.
So, alright, the crime scene. Sheila woke up that Sunday morning at the neighbor's cabin, the Seabolts.
Whoa, the neighbor's cabin.
Yeah, she spent the night over there.
Yeah.
What a dirty girl.
It's a girl's sleepover.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
The neighbor's cabin, the halls.
It was. Dude, all right.
The Seabolts.
This is not funny at all. Man, I have to cut it out.
There's a lot of shit that needs cut out this episode for not being funny.
She came walking outside of her neighbor's cabin and it was raining. And she's like, Sunday morning, rain is falling.
That was good. I also had another joke because I keep writing, because I wrote this out and I keep mentioning, well, Sheila came home. And then it just keeps fucking reminding me of that Sonny came home.
Oh, yeah.
Sheila came home to her favorite cabin. Sheila saw blood in the kitchen. She said days go by. But that song's been in my head ever since.
That's a good song.
what's Hall's first name? The baseball guy?
Mel Hall.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like, deck the halls with balls of Mel.
Dead fucking silence.
Could you add in a laugh track, please, just to make me feel better? You don't have to put in the episode. Just send it to me in a flash drive or something through the mail.
So, alrighty. Sheila woke up that Sunday morning at the neighbor's cabin, the Seabolts, and at around 7:45 a.m., she went back to her own home, which is cabin 28, which was less than 20 feet away.
Yeah.
So remember that.
This kind of reminds me of Fallout. Cabin 28, and she was next door at Vault 76.
Oh my god.
So yeah, it does.
Nice.
Yeah. When she opened the front door, she saw that there were 3 dead bodies on the floor. The body that was the furthest from her was covered with a blanket. And at this point, she didn't know who the bodies actually were. All that she saw was that there were 3 bodies and blood everywhere on the floor and walls. And she also noticed that there was a knife on the floor that the blade was so bent, she mistook it for a half-open pocket knife. Sheila ran away screaming and headed back to the Seabolts. She bolted to the Seabolts after what she had just seen. I'm sorry.
Dude,
this episode is like there's not a lot of stuff to make jokes about.
Dude, I was honestly heading for a football joke. So okay.
They then called the police, and then the Seabolts sent their son Jamie over to check on the children. He knocked on their window and found that Rick and Greg Sharp, as well as their friend and close neighbor Justin Smart, were all not only alive, but they were all 3 asleep in the bedroom that was adjacent to the living room.
This doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
All right, I do have something to say about the earlier one. Well, when she came in, she saw that someone had a blanket on, and she's like, "Oh shit, are we getting dressed for the Halloween party already?" God,
What the fuck?
what's one of the kids' names?
April.
Nick. God damn it, Nick! I was supposed to be the ghost. It got real at the end.
Jamie then looked around some more and saw that the back door was left open, which they suspect the killer or killers had left through. And then the Plumas County Sheriffs, I don't know if it's Plumas, I don't know. The Plumas County Sheriffs had arrived around this time. And we're not going to get into every small detail of the bodies. However, you can find the autopsy reports online you can find them on Keddie 28, the website we mentioned. They got the full autopsy reports. They're pretty fucking brutal. So just a heads up, this is going to get a little bit gruesome because we are going to mention some of it. So John Sharp, he was found closest to the front door. He was lying faced up, and he had his hands tied and wrapped together with medical tape. Dana Wingate, which he was 17. John Sharp was 15.
Yeah.
Dana Wingate, he's 17. He was a friend of John's. He was found face down on his stomach. His head was bloody and resting on a pillow. His ankles were tied up with an electric cord and then tied to John as well. So they were tied up and connected with this electric cord.
No.
So both of the boys are tied up. They're connected together. And Sue Sharp was found lying next to the sofa. She was found on her side and naked from the waist down. Her shirt was up over her as well. She was very tightly gagged. first with a bandana and then her underwear, and then that was taped up by medical tape. We will mention now, though, the autopsy report shows that she wasn't like sexually assaulted or raped or anything.
You'd say thank God to that, but
it's
she got it bad enough to
yeah,
where...
it's sad. Investigators also believed that she was dead in a different position and then moved to this one, and then she was also covered with a blanket. So they think that a lot of the bodies were moved and placed, especially like one of the guys, his head was on a pillow.
Yeah.
So he didn't just die and fall like that.
Yeah, obviously.
And there were pools of blood everywhere, splattered all over the walls, carpets, sofa pillows, everywhere. And the traces and locations of blood led the investigators to believe that not only Sue, but the other boys were purposely moved and possibly staged into their found positions. And blood was also found all over the ceiling and other walls in the house, as well as in the bedroom that Sheila and Tina shared with Sue.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's like, it's a fucking brutal scene. You can see pictures of...
It's crazy. It's like literally everywhere, like from the windows to the walls.
Oh my God.
That's insane. Like that's... so much.
You're a bitch.
I never bothered looking at the pictures.
They're pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah, that would probably fuck with me if I did.
And one weird note, blood was also found on the bottom of Sue's feet, which some believe is evidence that she was possibly not the first one killed, or maybe she was up moving around some, who knows. But the only way she could have gotten that is if she walked around after there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And also there was blood on the soles of one of the boys' shoes. So we're going to talk about some of this a little later in theories.
I don't know if you've seen pictures of it or not, but how proximity are these cabins to one another?
Well, the neighbors we mentioned was 20 feet away.
Okay.
The one where Sheila was staying at?
Okay.
Yeah, you can see pictures of this place. A lot of them are pretty close.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like spread out, kind of like a weird campground in a way, or if it's like a trailer park, like all like everyone's like next to each other in a way, or something like that.
Even if they were, kids were still sleeping in that same cabin.
Yeah.
3 kids were asleep during all this.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean,
Maybe, possibly. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, because that's in theories.
Yeah, the suspects, you mean?
And blood is also found on both of the bedroom doors. There is blood outside on the handrail and steps. There's also bloody fingerprints. So there's blood everywhere. And there's also said to be stab marks on the walls of the living room, but I couldn't find out how many or how deep or anything though, but that seems like super weird to me. Like some sources say it sounds like they were stabbing the walls, or maybe they were like stabbing the people so hard and like maybe missed. I don't know. They just say there's a lot of stab marks in the walls and possibly hammer marks too.
The stab marks and stuff are in all the sources I've seen, but there's nothing that really explains why they're there.
So I don't know if it's like 1 or 2, if there's like 100 of them, because that completely changes everything.
It's basically just very vague.
And all 3 were beaten with hammers and stabbed with knives. And they believe that there was 2 different hammers that were used, possibly 2 or 3 different knives. There was the bent steak knife that was found on the floor, as well as a kitchen knife and a hammer found on scene. So the hammer and the kitchen knife were butcher knife. It's not like a big butcher knife, but it's still like kitchen knife. Was said to have been found sitting on a small wooden table next to the kitchen. So you can see the picture of it. Yeah, there's like the hammer and that knife that are sitting on the table.
So I didn't see any of the pictures. I didn't look.
And the medical tape that was used, there was actually 2 different kinds. So one was thicker than the other. And the electric cords that were used were actually from inside the house. One was ripped from, I think, like a telephone wire or something. But yeah, they ripped them out of some of the rooms. So there's no way this was quiet.
No, not really.
There's no way any of this is quiet. There's 3 people murdered here. There's holes stabbed in the walls. There's electric cords ripped out. There's blood everywhere. I don't know. I just don't know how no one heard any of this.
And I also feel bad for that medical tape because I've always been told that there's stuff that's just thicker than mine, man. It's not even funny. I just wanted to get one little joke in there.
I do kind of believe that it could be quiet, like really completely silent, if it was all faked.
Okay.
All right.
Is that your theory? Save it for later.
I'll explain my theory later.
Okay.
All right, I like it.
I'm guessing if it's like your other theories, Hitler's going to be mentioned somewhere.
No, it's Andrew.
No, Tooth mentions Hitler a lot.
He?
You mean Hitler is Andrew?
No, yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, that's why he's not here.
Sue and John had cuts along their throat and neck, and they were dead from the resulted stabbings and hammer blows. Dana, however, even though he suffered stabbings and hits from the hammer, he was physically strangled to death.
Oh, wow.
So that's really fucking weird, too. And
Yeah.
like I said, the autopsy report showed they were stabbed and hit, punched, hit with hammers, like everywhere.
Yeah.
And there would also be another hammer that would be found way later in 2016. But we will get to that later. But it is believed that the killer brought that hammer as well as the medical tapes that were used.
Yeah.
And some believe that there's also either a BB gun or an air rifle that was used too, because there were 2 imprints that were left on the back of Sue's head or the side of her head, and they said it matched the butt of an 880 rifle.
Jesus.
Well, I have no idea.
Why do that?
I have no idea how unless the butt of the rifle left the imprint, like 880 rifle, I don't know how you'd be able to tell that, but every source says they had an air rifle with them.
So it's like,
I don't know. I've never saw like a ton of proof on it, but every source mentions it. So,
like, how bad or just psycho would you have to be to just brutally murder somebody? And be like, hang on a second.
Like, how
grab
are
a BB gun, just fucking shoot her in the back of the head.
How are the knives and hammers and electric cords and tape? How's that not enough to where you have to bring out a fucking air rifle? Unless they say maybe the BB gun or air rifle looked real, and maybe that's how they got him to tie him up, possibly. So we'll talk about some of that shit later.
Yeah.
So by now, Deputy Hank Clement showed up and he did a quick search of the cabin. At around 8:30 a.m., Sergeant Jerry Shaver was on scene and talking to the residents in Keddie and confirmed that there appeared to be a triple homicide. Never mind, I was going to make a basement joke about Shaver.
Triple homicide or triple razor?
Shaver. Why does every case have to have such funny fucking names in it,
I don't know, dude. If it didn't, we would probably not be in business right now.
Mucklow, Ass Man, fucking Shaver.
Dude, Mucklow's my fit.
Onions.
Onions. Oh, fuck.
Dude, Mucklow still might be my favorite, man. That's so.
Mucklow's by far my favorite.
God, I'm surprised that negative reviews aren't coming in about her.
I mean, if she's alive, they will eventually.
Yeah.
And at around 8:45 a.m., and we're going to get into more details on the timeline for the day, but at 8:45 a.m., Sue's brother, Don Davis, had arrived and started talking to the officers and investigators in front of the cabin. And he told them about the family, the kids, and her relationship with her abusive husband. But he also stated that he hadn't been around the family since she left in November 1979. And they also refused to ever give the abusive ex-husband like the address or let him know where any of them were staying. And I believe they later said that they did question him, but he had like a strong alibi.
Yeah.
Plus, he's like super far away.
Yeah.
So
probably just like a dick. I mean, not really a murderer, just kind of a dick.
Yeah. And the investigators, they started taking photographs and making reports, collecting evidence, talking to people. But it was said that the reports that they were making didn't exactly add up, like all the facts and evidence found. In the reports, they were all a little bit different from each other. So it's already kind of shoddy just from that. Like they're kind of walking around making these reports, but they're kind of all a little bit different from each other.
Yeah.
And who knows if anyone moved anything in there either.
I'm sure they did, especially every single fucking case that we do.
Yeah, yep.
People are in there. Let me have the spleen. I'm taking it home with me.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Was that the Velisca?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And now there's also another big piece here that nobody seemed to notice while they were looking for evidence and doing all their investigative work. It wasn't until a few hours later, hours, that they realized, oh shit, she has another daughter somewhere and we can't find her or have any account of where she is.
Hours.
Yeah.
Remember that it was hours.
Her 12-year-old daughter was kidnapped and they didn't even realize it for hours later, which is like, she's a 12-year-old girl and it's the most crucial time in kidnapping is like first couple hours.
Yeah, especially after this kind of brutal crime.
And they said that Justin, who was the neighbor's son that was spending the night, they said that he kept trying to tell the police that Tina was missing, but they kept kind of ignoring him and blowing him off.
Wait, Justin is alive? He's not the one that got killed?
No, Justin was a neighbor's stepson. We'll talk a little bit more about his family later, too.
Was the friend that died, was he a neighbor or was he just a...
He was actually, I believe he grew up in like foster homes and stuff, but he was just a friend.
So he wasn't a neighbor. He was basically just there. Wrong
he was
place,
just
wrong
there.
time.
Yeah,
That sucks.
And They didn't know that. They just saw 3 bodies. They just assumed it was one of our other kids or someone that got killed.
He's the fucking Ron Goldman of this situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
By noon, the California Department of Justice had intertwined into the case, and they even sent a helicopter from Sacramento on over to Keddie to take photographs. And this is really fucking suspicious because it's like this town has double digits in population numbers, and the Department of Justice is getting involved. It seems like really big for... I mean, I know it's a triple homicide, but it's a super small town to have this going on.
Absolutely.
And one of the pictures that the helicopters took in Keddie actually showed 2 men leaving town through the back, like they were trying to avoid getting noticed. However, it's a photo from above, and it's 1981, and the quality is shit, so it doesn't really help out at all to identify who it is. But yeah, that just sounds super suspicious that the Department of Justice is getting involved in a super tiny, small town affairs.
Well, me and Toof weren't born yet, guys, so, stop blaming us. We were not back there fucking. So.
Yeah, dumbasses. That wouldn't be till 1987.
And I was 1. Oh, and I don't even know if Toof was alive.
And the evidence at the sheriff's office wasn't secured properly either, and it was said that sometime later on, rain had leaked through and ruined some of the information evidence that they had.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of shit that could have been avoided, a lot of evidence and stuff they could have stepped up on, and they just didn't. Like, they did a pretty shitty job.
Does that mean they sent like an assassin to do it?
Oh my God, are you going?
Because like, why wouldn't Scorpion just leak through?
Oh. So I was going for it.
Okay.
Nice.
There's a Mortal Kombat character called Rain, right?
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
I was going to say the rain came in and ruined everything. It was called the Roman rain.
Fucking episode.
Every time rain is brought up,
no one could see it, right? Like no one, like the rain came in, right?
Yeah.
So since like no one saw it, they kind of made a song about it.
Oh my God, it's so obvious what the punchline is. I want to know. Have you ever seen the rain? How is that not the punchline?
Dude, I thought he was going for Africa.
No, isn't there the Blind Melon song?
No rain?
Have you ever seen the rain?
Oh,
That's
you're
what
talking
he's
about...
talking
No,
Is that the way? Yeah, that's it. It's not rain. Okay.
The way she
That's it. It's not rain.
Dude, how was it not Have You Ever Seen the Rain?
Curveball.
There was also an investigator in 1981 that wanted to work on the case, but he was told that if he went anywhere near the case, he would be fired. And he was he was close to the family, so this case meant a lot to him, but they wouldn't let him work on it. So I don't know if that was because of
the conflict of interest.
Interest or what, but he was he really was passionate about working on this.
Damn.
And they wouldn't let him do it. However, he finally would in 2010.
Damn.
His name is Mike Gamberg. He became sheriff in 2010. He would reopen the case, and by 2013, he would uncover a bunch of evidence that was either lost, forgotten, or hidden away. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later also. But they found more from 2010 to 2013, did more work on that than like the 20 to 30 years before it. It's ridiculous.
Insane.
When I tried opening the case, Samuel L. Jackson said he'd blow my fucking head off. And then he asked me what it said on his motherfucking wallet.
Oh, fuck yes.
Oh, my God, dude. Hell yeah.
Dude, who is it?
All right, so now we're going to get into a summary timeline of the day, and then we'll talk about suspects.
No.
So we talked a little bit about what happened that day. So let's go ahead and go back over it. This is around midday. Justin Smart, he's the neighbor's stepson. He was over and playing with Greg and Ricky, and Justin would also end up spending the night, and these 3 would be the 3 boys that are all found asleep the next morning, having no idea that anything had even happened.
Yeah.
So how the fuck do you...
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how you sleep through that.
I mean, I hope... Do you get... Is there anything that got further into that? I didn't see
a
anything.
little bit. Justin gets interviewed. He is the oldest. I think he was 12 at this point.
Yeah.
And I've seen interviews with him, and I don't know. He doesn't know if he saw something or not. Like, he's had dreams about it. He thinks he may have seen something, but also he gets interviewed a lot as a kid, and this is something traumatic.
That's putting that into your head.
If he would have seen it, it would have fucked him up.
Yeah.
But I could see them being like, "Oh, you saw this, right?
Oh,
Did
yeah,
you see this?"
They're just putting it into his head. Yeah.
So I don't know, poor dude. I've seen an interview with him, and you can. I believe him when he says he really has no idea. He might have seen something he doesn't know.
I bet he didn't, but it's crazy.
At least those threes were like found though, because if there was like missing threes, then we have to find out where Marcus Smart was.
Too.
Yes.
That was legit
That
good.
was
That was
fucking
clever
awesome,
too.
man.
Like the same last name.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah,
too.
That was awesome.
That was good, man. And the three boys are all hanging out all day riding bikes, and then Sue makes them dinner. And Sheila, she had gone over to the Seabolts earlier in the day, and she was eating dinner there, and she was also going to spend the night. Johnny and Dana, the two that would end up getting murdered, they were in Quincy that day. And I think it was like 6 to 7 miles away possibly, and neither of them could drive. And at around 6 p.m., they would be at a friend's house, and then around 7:30 p.m., they would start to hitchhike back to Keddie. So all the reports of seeing these two, they're hitchhiking down Highway 70.
Yeah, is hitchhiking in the okay.
At around 8 or 9 p.m., Sheila would head home to get a change of clothes, and then she would head back over to the Seabolts to stay for the rest of the night. At 8:15 p.m., Johnny and Dana were spotted hitchhiking down Highway 70. By 8:30, Sue and the three boys were all inside the home. Greg, the youngest, was asleep on the bottom bunk bed, and the other two boys were inside watching TV. And there's like way more details of everything that happens in the timeline. I just picked out the ones I thought were important. And then Tina arrives back home between 9 and 9:30 p.m. And it was also reported that the Sharps' telephone rang around 9:30, to which Sue answered and said, "Who is this?" That could mean nothing at all. I don't know how they know that happens, unless maybe Justin heard it. I didn't see where they heard that happen.
Yeah.
I have no idea how they would know, or even if it's relevant at all. At around 10 p.m., Rick and Justin, they talk for a little after they finish watching Love Boat. And Rick also states that he slept all the way through the night from this point on, and he didn't wake up until they woke him up in the morning from the window.
If they admitted that they were watching Love Boat, I don't think these guys are lying. Because, holy shit, man. They're telling the truth about everything else.
You know what's really weird? Is like, I was thinking this is in 1980, and when I'm reading details of the case, I'm like, holy shit, they have bunk beds, or what? They have a TV with Love Boat on. They have a digital clock. What the fuck? It's like, to me, it seems like this happened. Yeah. It seems to me like this case happened in like the 50s.
They
or
had
something,
electricity.
You know?
What the
What
fuck?
the fuck? A telephone cord. Where'd they get that?
Humans were in this?
Yeah. So Rick and Greg are on the bottom bunks, and then Justin was asleep on the top bunk. Now, at this point, around 10 p.m., we haven't talked about these three yet, but Marty Smart, who is Justin's stepfather, then Marty's friend Bo, and Marty's wife Marilyn, they all walk by cabin 28, and they stop and they ask Sue if she wanted to go to the bar with them. She declined, though, because she has all these kids there and it's getting late. And so the three, they went to the back door bar without her.
Yeah. That sounds very sexual.
Any comments on the back door bar, too?
I mean, was that legit what it's called?
That's what I saw.
Nice.
I was just hoping that this name would get brought up, and it's kind of weird, but in this story, in all these, so far we've mentioned about 10 characters.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
At least 2 of them are Rick and Marty.
All right.
That's it. That's
all right.
That's hoping for.
That's what they got it from.
And around midnight, it is believed that Johnny and Dana arrived home. And later, I believe Justin said that he believed that it was around midnight that they got home. I'm not sure how he knew that exactly, though, unless he was still awake.
See, what sucks is he's hearing all these things, phone calls, people getting home, not the fucking extreme brutal murder. And I'm not saying I don't believe him, because I do, but Jesus.
Yeah, and
it sucks.
I know kids sleep heavy sometimes, but I don't know. But what was the other case that we cover where no one fucking woke up?
There's a lot of them. The axe murder.
Yeah.
Both the axe murder. Was
the Amityville one?
Yeah,
also?
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And here's a small note here. It might not be related at all, but a man leaving the bar also noticed a suspicious dark van parked across the bridge by the pond that he didn't recognize. And one thing you notice is this town, everyone knows everyone that lives here, but it's also a place where there's so many people that are in and out and staying at people's houses. You also don't know a lot of the people at the same time, you know? And at around 1 a.m., Marty Smart gets mad at the bar because the music is changed from country music to rock, and this pisses him off. And it was also reported that Bo was also getting pretty angry at this point.
I'm sure Bo was, yeah.
Because he wanted Sue to go to the bar and she didn't, and so he felt like pretty rejected by it all.
Also, he didn't get to go on that fishing trip because he took the girl and not his best friend, Bo.
Oh, my God, dude.
It goes along with the country music, man.
Oh, that does, dude.
Yeah.
I can't believe they changed it from country to rock. Gross.
Yeah, how dare you?
You know, I'm just joking. Some country's good. Back then, though, country wasn't bad.
The song that I mentioned was good, and that wasn't even out yet. But
fuck, our dudes are country. Last Bandoleros.
Nice.
They're fucking good. They're a combination of both.
They're good stuff. I like them.
But yeah, I tried to think of a joke about what song was playing, what they changed it to. The only thing I could come up with isn't even funny, but it's like they're pissed off because someone keeps playing Dragula by Rob Zombie. Yeah. So Marty, Bo, and Marilyn, they head back home to cabin 26, and then within the next 15 minutes or so, Marty calls the bar and he apologizes. He's like, I'm sorry I got angry at that guy who kept playing Dragula.
Holy shit.
And then he and Bo head back to the bar while Marilyn stays at home and goes to bed.
Imagine where your life has to be where at one point you have to call a bar to apologize.
Yo, man, these guys aren't even rednecks. I can't help but picture them as Tucker and Dale.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's how I picture them. Yeah, and they don't look like it at all.
Except for I like Tucker and Dale.
I've seen the pictures of them. The one guy, I don't know why every serial killer looks like my dad. The one guy, if it's because his mustache, sort of looks like my dad plus Jack Nicholson from The Shining.
Oh my God.
And the other one just looks like Jack Nicholson Joker a little bit. So.
But just think, these guys are at a point in their lives where they called a bar to apologize.
I hope they flip.
That's the lowest you can get.
And the thing is, I guess, like, after they got real pissed off in the bar and had that outburst, they had to use all their jet ski money to smooth it over.
Hey, Halpert.
Yeah. Whoa, you try to cop a feel, Halpert?
Hey, last time I called the bar, they just turn their thumbs sideways and they say, "We don't set the bar, we are the bar."
Yes, dude. That's a wrestling joke.
Yeah, so at 1:15 or so, Marty and Bo head back to the bar. Now, two people in cabin 16, which is pretty close to cabin 28, they kind of, the way they're laid out, they're kind of like across from each other and stuff.
That's still a very big jump of numbers.
They woke up around 1:15 and stated they heard like muffled yelling and screaming from the rear direction of their cabin.
I heard they got that wrong. But like they didn't want to like change like the actual police report. So right below it, they just put like a little footnote, and they said, "P.S. It was 1:18."
Oh my God! Hey Arnold,
that's not even funny.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sorry,
dude. That was real good. I like it. I never knew growing up that P.S. was public school.
Yeah,
never knew.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So that's the main timeline of that night, and then obviously the murders happen right after that. One thing we are going to mention, and this happened on almost exactly the 3-year anniversary, which would have been in 1984. Part of a skull would be found near Camp 18, which sounds like it's in the same place, but it's not. It's actually like 30 miles away from Keddie.
Yeah.
But a hiker found like part of a skull near there, and he initially thought that it might have been part of like a Native American skull, so he took it to be looked at. And a few months later, the police received an anonymous phone call claiming that the skull was Tina Sharp's, which the skull that was found, they didn't say anything like, oh, this could be a murder or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that is kind of weird. They received an anonymous call, and the police then searched the area. They found more bones, and I believe it was the bottom jaw they found that was used to identify the body as Tina's. So this is what the 911 phone call said. "Hello, I was watching the news, and they were talking about the skull they found at the Feather Falls, and they asked for any help. And I was wondering if they thought of the murder up in Keddie up in Plumas County a couple years ago, where a 12-year-old girl was never found." And then I believe he hung up.
Yeah, that's super weird.
So that's pretty suspicious and super fucking weird.
Yeah, and they never figured out who called, right?
Well, here's the thing. This tape wasn't found until after the one sheriff that we mentioned, I can't think of his name right now, took over in like 2010. So this tape was found between 2010 and 2013, I think. So that means the police, they knew of this 911 call. They stashed the tape away.
Just didn't even care.
And it was believed they may have deliberately like tried to hide it.
Yeah.
And like the audio of the 911 call was never voice analyzed. They kind of just sealed it up in an envelope and they buried away in evidence. And it was in an unopened envelope inside at like the very bottom of a box.
Wow.
So it was just hid away. They were just like, oh, here's possible evidence.
Yeah,
Let's fucking hide this shit.
This doesn't matter at all. Also, we have fucking OJ's glove here. Let me throw that down there.
But in their defense, though, I do believe on the cassette tape, it did say, never mind. It's not even funny. Never mind.
Was it an Always Sunny joke?
No.
I was going to say something you were talking about. So people heard muffled like screams and everything coming from the back of the one house.
Yeah.
And they didn't like go to investigate. They just like walked to the bars. Just this.
Well, they said they woke up at 1:15 because they thought they heard muffled yelling, but then they just went back to sleep.
Okay. I thought it was still like 9 o'clock or something. Okay.
And also to their defense, though, the audio tape it was recorded on, it did say Chumbawamba on it, so I can understand trying to hide it.
I thought you were gonna say it said Luther Vandross. Just a fucking Always Sunny joke.
Yeah. Alrighty. So now we're gonna start talking about suspects and things like that. As far as the actual murders go, it is possible that one person did it. Like, especially if they thought they had a gun. But they mostly believe that it was most likely two people that did it.
No.
Most believe that the murder was done by somebody that knew the Sharp family, and it looked like it was done with aggression, and the killings looked very personal because they were fucking brutal. It just doesn't... It's not believed that the killings were just, like, random or, like, a botched robbery or drug deal or anything. Like, it looked like they did it with aggression, and like I hate to use the word passion, but it looked like someone
like crime and passion.
Yeah, was really fucking upset.
Yeah.
Some of the theories were that it was a botched robbery or drug deal gone wrong, but I don't believe that was at all, because I don't know why you would, if it was a botched robbery, why you would brutally murder half the people in the house and then just leave.
Yeah, and also
the kids
move their bodies and stuff.
And what are you robbing? Oh, I guess the drugs.
Could be, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's only two real suspects, and it is still an unsolved case, but the only evidence they have leads back to two people, Marty Smart and his friend Bo. And although it is...
His best friend, Bo.
His best... Take my best friend, Bo. Take my airsoft gun. And although it's quite possible it wasn't them... It's one of those things where it's like, if it wasn't them, then who was it?
Yeah, it's once you get further into it.
Yeah, we'll get more into the theories, but let's run through the evidence and details on them first. So anything before we start covering that?
All I want to say is I would also be pissed if somebody named me Bo.
Well, that's
I know it's a nickname, but do they say his full name?
It was like, yeah, it's actually Severin. His first name's Severin John, like Boo Bedham.
Okay,
so I understand why he went by Bo.
Because Harry Potter hadn't come out yet. So yeah, never mind. I'd go by Bo too.
Speaking of that, maybe being a botched robbery, it was said that never mind. It's just gonna be a joke that Bo had the watch that his granddad gave him, but I couldn't remember the lyrics to the song. So here's the watch that my grandpa gave me.
Here's the keys of my car.
So Marty Smart and Severin John Boobedum, a.k.a. Bo. Marty was married to Marilyn Smart, and he was the stepdad to Justin, who is the boy that spent the night over at the Sharps. So that's one thing. If he is the killer, why would he do it? Like, he knows his son spent the night over there. Why would he kill him with his son there?
I mean...
I don't know. We'll talk about this later.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Newsflash. Which Justin was it? Was it this Justin?
Oh my god, dude. Holy shit. I really liked that one.
I was saying it had to happen.
Sorry.
No, that was good. It had to happen.
And Marty and Bo, they both had criminal backgrounds, which is no surprise. And they both had come from military backgrounds as well. It would later be found out that Bo was even associated with organized crime in Chicago, and he was previously arrested for robbing a bank.
Dude, was Bo the stranger that came and pulled a gun? And grabbed her by the arm?
Dude.
Right, dude. We've gone too far.
Oh, shit.
Dude, if people don't get this, that just sounds like part of the murder. It's not.
It's a Tim McGraw song.
This is all Tim McGraw.
And then someone actually pulled that same stunt on Bo, and Marty wasn't having it, and he said, take any bow in the world, but please don't take my bow.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, here we go. A few weeks prior to the murders, Marty and Bo had met at a VA hospital where they both were receiving treatment for PTSD. Marty was a Vietnam War vet. Although his time in Vietnam, he was actually a cook on a military base, and it was said to be one of the safest bases during the war. So it's believed that he may not have actually had PTSD, but he was actually trying to get benefits and veterans assistance by going here. And he would even later tell his counselors that he never saw action or fired his gun or even heard gunfire, and he admitted it was actually pretty easy over there.
Yeah.
And now Bo, he was in the hospital after he was said to have attempted suicide. And Bo said that he had been in the Air Force and was a peace officer, and he says a bunch of stuff, but a lot of the things that he states were proven to be untrue. And he also claimed that he was part of the Cook County Sheriff's Department, but he had to retire after he was shot in the groin.
Oh, fuck yeah. Wait, it was Bo that tried to kill himself?
Yeah.
Oh, was that when he hit his knees and said, take the very breath you gave me? Dude, I'm done. We basically just sang that whole song.
But, like, all the shit Bo says is almost untrue. Like, the details he said about being a peace officer and, like, some of the dates he gives would have mean he would have been, like, 9 years old when all this stuff would have actually happened.
Yeah.
So, was Bo lying about when he said that him and Marty were driving a DeLorean around?
Oh, my God. Oh.
Trying to, like, go to the church or something like that?
Back to the Future.
He used to call Bo Doc.
But there are a few things about him that were proven to be true, actually. Like, he had served time in Chicago prison for armed robbery. I think I said robbery.
Oh, fuck.
Armed robbery. And his father and uncle were also heavily involved in organized crime as well, like mafia shit.
Nice.
And Bo was allegedly involved with and connected to people that were moving large amounts of drugs and money around, as well as being involved with the law enforcement, including payoffs. Like, he would, like, pay the police to, quote, look the other way. So there's a very strong belief that Bo had connections to some of the people in the CIA as well.
Wow.
And they actually believe he may have been an informant for them since he had so many mafia connections. And this may possibly be why the Department of Justice had gotten involved, because maybe they were trying to, like, protect him or keep the identity of him out of there, like, keep him out of trouble, so, like, they wouldn't know he was an informant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mostly just a theory, but they do have a lot of shit to back it up.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Like his Chicago connections to the mafia and shit like that.
There's just so many goddamn wrestling references in that, man.
So back to Marty now. After he and Bo had gotten out of the VA hospital, Marty invited Bo to come stay and live with them for a while. And during his time here, Bo was looking for a lady. So that's when he was first introduced to Sue, but she had a boyfriend at the time and she didn't seem to be interested in him at all.
So who's married to Marilyn?
Marty.
Okay, all right.
And it was also reported that Marty was abusive to his wife and his stepson, Justin. And it was even said that he had tried to run them over with his vehicle once. And once, when Marty was younger, he got into an argument with his father and went out and purchased items to make a bomb to try and blow up his father's house.
Nice. Dude, did all of that kind of remind you of Pet Sematary too? Or is that just me?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, God. Dude, Andrew would have been so proud. Andrew, that joke's for you. Keep it in.
I remember a long time ago, like, I was super young, and I didn't know what Pet Sematary was.
Yeah.
And my dog died. And Jason kept going, and he's like, dude, Pet Sematary, man. It's all right,
yes.
Pet Sematary.
Yes.
I fucking had no idea what he meant.
What's happening here?
He's like, Pet Sematary, dude. I was like, I don't know what that means, man.
Dude, I watched Pet Sematary and Children of the Corn at a young age, and that's fucked up shit, dude.
Yeah. And Sue, coming from an abusive relationship, she was friends with Marty's wife, Marilyn, and she was advising her to leave him, saying, like, he abuses you. I've been through the same thing. You need to leave him. And there's also another rumor that was believed by some of the people in town that Sue and Marty were actually having an affair.
Yeah, I don't like that rumor.
Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. This does establish a motive for both Marty and Bo albeit not exactly the greatest motives, but they don't seem like the most intelligent guys to begin with. It seems like something real small could set him off, like the jukebox.
Yeah.
So Marty is aware that Sue's trying to get his wife to leave him, and if he is having an affair, that could be another reason. And then Bo, he's trying to get Sue to hang out or date him, but she keeps refusing him, so he's been rejected a few times now, including a few hours before she gets murdered. She rejected his offer to go to the bar.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they even stopped by her house on the way to the bar that night, and that all led to them two getting angrier throughout the night before their meltdown. And at the bar, this is pretty weird too. Marty and Bo, they were both dressed up in suits, like very nice suits. So that's like super fucking weird, especially because like there's not a whole lot to do in this town. I think there's like one small store and like a bar, and that's like it.
Yeah.
So to get dressed up in like 3-piece suits and shit is super fucking weird.
I feel like in that bar you probably didn't even have to wear clothes.
Exactly. And a lot of people believe like they were doing this to draw attention to themselves, so that way they would have an alibi for the
people would
night.
see 'em. Yeah.
And they also say that could have been why they were freaking out about the music and getting pissed off. So like people would remember seeing him there and then seeing him come back.
Absolutely.
And then when they call back and arrive like 15 minutes later, it's just all weird and attention-grabbing shit. So Marty and Bo, being the main suspects, they do get questioned. And after they were questioned once, they were let go, and they were never questioned again. And it was even said they took a lie detector test and passed, but those don't mean anything. It was also reported that they were questioned together at some points, which is like obviously you shouldn't fucking do that.
Never do that. Yeah,
because you can just like look at the guy next to you or make sure the story's straight.
Hey, don't worry doing anal with your wife. Yeah, we were doing anal with my wife. I mean that's just a story that me and Toof, told many times.
Yeah,
get out of going to recess and stuff.
I didn't have a wife.
Make any sense.
I didn't even have a wife.
We
were doing anal with a knife.
Oh yeah, it was.
Jeremiah. And during the interview, Marty said some really weird stuff. Like you can see the full transcripts. But here's just a few pieces I pulled from there that I think kind of stand out. Now, keep in mind that Justin, who is Marty's 12-year-old stepson, was staying the night over at the Sharps' house. And when police asked him if he thinks Justin may have seen anything, this was his answer. He is quiet enough to where he could have noticed something without me detecting him.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in the transcript.
Good job, guy.
So that kind of implies that he did it.
Yeah.
I can also see he's quiet enough to I can do stuff around the house and he doesn't notice me but it could be another Freudian slip, I guess.
Yeah, it could have been a slip, but the question was, do you think Justin saw anything during the murders?
Yeah.
And then another quote is, it starts off to a question. He's like, I don't know. I'd like to see the hammer. I've been in Sue's house. The only hammer I ever noticed coming out of there was a wooden handled one. My hammer's missing. So he kind of just... They were asking him about the murder weapons, then he just throws in, my hammer is missing. I ain't noticed it lying about. We can't. And on top of that, there's more, because this guy's coming right by my house, Geez, you'd think if that was true, if he would have picked up my hammer, why in the hell didn't he take my hatchet? It's a lot better.
Oh, my God.
So he just randomly is talking about this missing hammer, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, why would you just throw that shit in?
He's trying to throw it where it's not him, but maybe they took his stuff just in case they find it.
And he does give a description of the hammer, which later on in 2016, this hammer that matches that description would be found by a man with a metal detector. It had a blue handle, and that's what Marty said. And they also found a hunting knife nearby. But they both looked as if they had been purposely buried there a long time ago because they were found by a pond, which there's no reason to take a hammer out next to a pond.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to hide it right there.
Or go fishing.
And Mike Gamberg, who was the sheriff that took over in 2010, he said, when I came back, the case was just a mess. It was a huge volume of material and it was very fragmented. And he learned that an anonymous person had called the sheriff's office and claimed that the hammer was found in by the nearby pond. So they recovered the hammer, and it did match the description, and it's currently being tested for DNA evidence.
It is now?
However, that was in 2016,
okay.
And I couldn't find any more on it.
Yeah.
So now the day after the murders, Marilyn would move away because she got really she suspected that Marty may have had something to do with it. But yeah, she straight up moves away. So that's a little suspicious. And Marty and Bo were said to have left town as well. Some believe that maybe the police told them to leave to like get out of town. Who knows?
Yeah. Old
and
Western type stuff.
Yeah. And it was also believed that Marty was actually really good friends with the sheriff at the time. So many speculate that he was trying to help cover for him. Now, one note here, though, Doug Thomas, he was the sheriff at that time. And he mentioned that he wasn't like, he's like, I'm not like super good friends with him like people say. Although he did admit that one time he held like an advice session for Mary and Marilyn to help them with their marriage, which is like a fucking counseling for them.
Yeah.
However, Marilyn denies that ever happening, which is something fucking weird just to make up. Now, this piece of evidence I'm going to mention next is pretty much the biggest evidence piece there is.
Yeah.
You can cuss, man. It's the most damning piece of evidence.
There we go.
Yeah.
So there's a letter that was later found that the sheriff's station had said Marilyn had given them, although she didn't remember ever doing it. And I couldn't find when they received this letter at all.
Yeah, you can't find anything.
But the letter was addressed to the former Keddie post office and to Marilyn. And she would say, although she didn't remember it, like ever receiving this letter or giving it to the sheriffs, the writing in the letter was in fact Marty's. And this is what the letter said. I've paid the price of your love, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we're through. Great. What else do you want? And then he signed the letter. But all this evidence was kind of pushed away and not brought, like, all this was found at, like, within the last, like, 10 years.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I'd say it's really stupid, but when you look at nowadays where people kill people and put it on Facebook or Snapchat,
Yeah.
I mean, that's worse.
Was-
this is less stupid.
Who was the person that was connected with the Chicago mob? Was it Bo or Marty?
Bo.
Oh, never mind. I'll say, I wonder if the cops hid this because Bo or Marty were actually in witness protection and they didn't want to bring them out.
Well, that kind of matches a CIA informant. You know, like they're trying to protect him
Oh, okay.
because he's an informant, and then Marty, who's friends with the sheriff and connected to Bo. So it's like there's like a big cover up. So I don't know if there is an actual big cover up, but
It just seems
there is
like
a
it.
lot of shoddy police work,
Yeah.
and also you have all this evidence. Why are they hiding it? It's really fucking weird. But yeah, there's even more evidence.
Oh, yeah.
So Gamberg, the sheriff that took over later, he was the one that found the tape, found the letter, and he would later meet with a counselor at the Veterans Administration in Reno. And he said he just searched like the police evidence room for like 10 days and ended up finding all this shit. Now, the counselor told him that while Smart was his patient, just weeks after the murders and on his 7th appointment, Smart, he wanted to clear his conscience, and this is what he said. I killed the woman and her daughter, but I didn't have anything to do with the boys. So he admitted to killing her for trying to get Marilyn to divorce him, and then he said he killed Tina because she had awoken and saw the whole thing and he couldn't leave a witness. And the counselor told him that he needed to turn himself in, but all Marty did was like kind of smile. And I think Marty believed that whatever he said there was confidential,
Yeah.
which it mostly is, but it's not if it has to do with fucking
not with a
this
murder.
shit.
Murder fucking confession.
And then when asked about the lie detector test, he told his counselor, like, I beat it. Those things are easy to beat. I was lying and they let me go.
Which there are guidelines there where that fucking counselor is completely,
Yeah.
legal to fucking go tell somebody.
And the counselor said that he actually did alert the police when he found out about this, and he was surprised that they didn't do anything about it. They said that the investigators did come and meet with the counselor, but they kind of just wrote it off as nothing. And it's also highly believed that the people in the town actually know a lot more than they're letting on. Some suggest maybe they were actually scared to talk because of Marty and Bo. However, Marty and Bo are both dead. Like,
Yeah.
Marty died, I think, in like the 2000s, and Bo died in like 88,
Let's
I
say
think.
he died a while ago, yeah.
So if they were scared, like, why weren't they speaking up now?
Yeah. Unless they're afraid of ghosts.
That's true.
They might have been watching Ghost Adventures, 'cause that's all real.
And there's also a lot more details and like smaller details that you can find online. I just want to kind of hit on some of the main ones. So that's all the information on those 2 suspects on why they think it was them, besides the fact that he admits to it multiple times.
Yeah.
There was one other suspect they believed it could have been, and it was one of Tina's teachers. Tina was known as being his his teacher's pet. His name was Joel Lipsy. He was a special education teacher at Tina's school, and she attended his class like part-time. He also had a picture of her on his desk and said he had a photo of her at home. So this is like super fucking weird.
How old's Tina again?
Tina
12.
was 12. And then
Tiny Tina.
I believe Joel was also, I've only seen this on some sources, but they said he was a convicted child molester with documents stating that he'd been convicted of lewd acts with a child under 14.
I didn't see that.
But the teacher did have a solid alibi, so it wasn't him, they think. But it's just, I mean, he's just a fucking weird dude to begin with. So who knows?
I was going to crack a joke about him lip singing somewhere because of his last name, but still
Thank you very much, Miss Lippy. Now, one last thing we'll mention is Justin. He was the stepson that was over there. He says sometimes he thinks that he might have saw something. He also tells about a dream where he was on the Love Boat, actually, and he saw Susan getting murdered by two guys. And he met with a therapist and a hypnotist. And the hypnotist was trying to like hypnotize him to get some more details out. And he gives a description of the two guys that he think he may have seen. And they match Marty and Bo pretty well. Yeah. Not 100%, but it pretty much matches them. And some people believe that Justin may have actually seen something.
Like he was just in sleep maybe when he saw it.
And also is like he was tired, also in shock. And then maybe he didn't say anything because he's so scared of his stepdad, because he said he was abusive. So he might have been scared to say anything.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I really don't know what to take for Justin's story. Because sometimes he says he saw something, sometimes he said he didn't.
I don't feel like that guy's lying though. Like he seems pretty genuine.
Yeah, I believe him in the interviews when he says he just doesn't know.
Yeah.
Plus he was young, he was questioned a lot, he was probably told to believe things and stuff. So alrighty, that's all the information we have on the case as far as theories go.
Yeah, it's theory time, motherfucker. Okay.
Yeah, what's your theory?
I got a couple.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with the more real ones, then I'll get.
Okay, real quick though, do you think it was Marty and Bo?
Yes, maybe.
I mean, all the evidence they have does point to them, and if it wasn't them, I don't know who else it would be. But it's just like it also kind of seems like too easy,
kind of.
But it just doesn't make sense why they weren't arrested or anything. They have all this evidence that all leads to them, and they don't do anything about it. The main theories are that Marty and Bo did it, like they were over there. And they were confronting Sue. Maybe they were attacking her. And then the two boys showed up. And so since the two boys showed up, they had to take them out because they were witnesses. That is one theory. There's also another theory that since the two boys were hitchhiking, that possibly they were picked up by a serial killer or picked up by a murderer who brought them back. He's like, here, where do you live? We'll drop you off. And then he brought them back and then killed those three. But the thing is like anyone killing them, why are they killing? Okay, so they kill Sue, they kill the boys, then Tina comes out and they say, oh shit, here's another witness. So they kidnap or kill Tina. I don't know if they kidnapped her, if they killed her, then took her. I don't know.
Were all the killings in one room, though? Like, it was just a living room killing?
I mean, they found blood in the back room, but yeah, living room mostly.
Okay.
And the three boys that survived, they're asleep in the adjacent room, like right next to it.
And it makes so much more sense if it was Marty and Bo because his son lived.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense why they didn't wake up, and I can't really explain that, but the fact that his son was in a room with other people that lived, I feel like maybe had his son been in a room on his own, I feel like those other boys would have probably died.
It also seems really weird to murder people in a house that you know your son's at as well.
Yeah.
So that seems a little weird also. It just doesn't make sense. There's so much, it's like, it seems like it's not planned out at all.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with like they left half the weapons, took half with them, left half. It's just a mess everywhere. It wasn't quick. It doesn't look like, and it just looked like they went fucking berserk. But I don't know why you would do that with your stepson there, unless he told him like, "Hey, if you hear anything, stay in there," or maybe he did talk to him. I have no idea.
He could have said something that had been nonchalant that maybe he doesn't remember. Maybe he said, "Hey, if you hear anything, just stay in the room." Maybe he said that earlier on. Maybe you know, maybe he doesn't remember him saying that, but maybe I don't know. I think it had to have been Marty and Bo because there's so much evidence against them. There's nothing else. I don't think it was the teacher guy. I think that dude's just maybe just a weird dude. Definitely wasn't the abusive husband. He was probably just a dick.
Yeah.
Seems it had to have been Marty and Bo. There's nothing else really there.
I just don't see how it could be anyone else, and I don't see why you would admit to it twice, like on two separate occasions, like the letter and to your therapist if you didn't do it.
I mean, the therapist isn't going to make it up. That was a legit therapist.
Yeah, at a veterans hospital.
Yeah, he's not going to make it up. He's not going to be like, oh, let me make up this story. And
this will be funny.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bored, you know. Exactly. I got all these soldiers here going through a lot of shit. Same shit, you know?
Same shit, different day. Let me make up, the same shit and just go tell everybody about it.
One thing I will mention, because it is kind of argued sometimes, is who the intended target was. I believe it was Sue because she was the one who was attacked the most and more viciously.
Yeah.
Some believe it might have been Tina because Tina did have some problems. Like she wasn't like the special. I don't think she was like mentally retarded, but she was in like the special education class. And some believe that possibly Marty may have had a relationship with her, or like possibly. I don't know if there's any proof to it. It's just a theory, and that maybe she had gotten pregnant, and so he was pissed off about it, and they went to go take care of it.
Let's hope it wasn't that.
But the thing is with that theory, well, even with Sue though, it would be so easy just to wait till they were alone to pick them off. That's another thing, especially Tina. Like she would have been easy to just wait till she was alone.
As bad as that sounds, but
I mean, Sue would have been a little bit tougher. It just doesn't make sense. It's not planned. Like, they just went in this house, killed 4 out of the 7 people.
It just sounds like drunk guys that killed a bunch of people, and which, goes along with what, they think happened. What do you think, Spence?
I don't know, man. It's a crazy case.
Who do you think did it? Do you think it was Marty and Bo?
I think it was Marty and Bo, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does seem like it was definitely them.
Yeah.
I've still got 2 more theories left.
Okay.
Well, I guess one theory. The other one's like, I think it's like bad when people profit off of like tragedy and stuff. So I hate that they took Tina's last words and actually made it into a song.
Oh no, too.
So like, as the murders were happening, that she was yelling out to the people in the room to wake them up, and she was like, wake 'em up inside. Justin won't wake up inside. Save me.
Oh my God. Jesus, holy shit, man.
Oh my God.
Save me from Marty and Bo.
Oh my God.
All right.
Wake me up.
Last and most realist theory I have. Keddie, California. Keddie.
Oh, I was like, who the fuck is
my
Keddie,
bad.
California?
Keddie.
I thought you were about to make a porn. I thought it was like a porn suit, like a superhero porn star. I was like, Jesus Christ,
Superhero.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, Keddie, California. I looked it up on the map. One of the most northern counties in California. 150 miles away from Portland, Oregon. The same Portland, Oregon where D.B. Cooper flew the plane from. So, what if, when he jumped out of that fucking plane with that money strapped to him, he had way too much more money than he thought, and it weighed him down. And he crashed through the roof of cabin 28.
Yeah, the timelines are so matching up right now.
Also, who the fuck repaired it? I like how we're taking this serious. Like, Jeremiah, wait a minute. Who repaired the roof then?
This is his most serious.
When he crashed through, they had a table full of knives, and the impact shot the knives out into the people.
Yes.
That's why there were stabbings on the wall.
This is what happened.
And that's why the knife was so bent, because it stabbed D.B. Cooper in the leg, and that's why he left the back door, and he had the van waiting for him. That's why no one recognized the van.
So he knew he was going to land in that cabin?
He knew he was going to land on the property, not the cabin.
He was going to land in this smallest fucking town there is.
He actually snapped his fingers, and the van just showed up like a fucking dodgeball.
Honestly, to land, wouldn't it be the perfect place?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
True.
Yeah, it would be. I just typed in, let me Ask Jeez, what's the most perfect place? Keddie, California, yeah.
He said, "Ask Jesus."
Ask Jeez.
You start praying.
Jesus, please tell me.
He also just asked G's what the best internet browser was, and it did say Internet Explorer. So we know that this is credible.
Actually, you could ask Jesus because there's probably standing right next to him. Laugh at the dark stuff, brothers.
So I do have a small update.
Oh.
As of 2016, they do believe that they may have DNA from the scene that matches a living person that they believe may have been involved.
Is it?
And they have also narrowed a list down to 6 possible suspects that they are working on.
Okay.
But that's the latest thing I've seen.
They haven't said who.
Well,
you would think is Marilyn still alive, right?
Marilyn's still alive. I think she remarried, and
So could she be maybe one of them?
see, I don't know. I think it's a little suspicious that she also moved away the next day.
And also,
but she was probably just scared and traumatized
that
by
she
it all.
doesn't remember giving the note, and and also, why would he want her to know that he paid for her love? With 4 lives.
It just seems like we mentioned earlier, it seems like everyone in this town knows a lot more than they're willing to talk about.
Yeah,
because someone had to have heard something or known something. I mean, some of these cabins are only 20 feet away from the other ones.
Yeah.
Like the one that Sheila was staying in, that cabin was 20 feet away. The kids in the room, I just don't know how you don't hear this, or how anyone in town doesn't know more.
Yeah, there's a lot of really strange stuff.
someone probably does know what they did last summer.
Okay, anything else you guys want to mention?
I don't think so.
All right, Spence, you want to hit us with the closing shit, brother?
Domino's Pizza.
All right.
All right, brother slices. Thanks for listening to another episode. If you'd like to support the podcast, there are several ways you can do that. You can talk to us, leave us some feedback, tell us what you like, what you didn't like, make suggestions for cases to cover in the future. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook.
And Reddit.
And Reddit. We have our own subreddit, Our Brothers Commonplace. And you can email us, brotherscommonplace@gmail.com. And then please share the podcast as far and wide as you can. Share it with anybody you think would like a little bit of monsters, murders, mysteries, and more. And then leave us reviews and ratings wherever you can. That would really help, especially those 5-star reviews on iTunes.
Yeah, we got to make up for some of them negative ones we've gotten.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I take the blame on that last one. And also, don't forget to check out Murderly. That is the true crime network that we are part of now. A lot of good shit on there.
Hey, Kev, don't apologize to them. We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Oh, fuck yeah, we don't. Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it well. Like, I don't blame her. Like, I understand where she's coming from, because we are kind of in the middle of some actual true crime, like serious ones. Yeah, special thanks to everyone that has left us a 5-star review or sent us an email or just shared us or listened, anything like that. You guys are awesome. And if you leave us a review and you're in a podcast, make sure you let us know the name of it. We'll give you a review right back, 5 stars, let you know that we enjoyed what we heard.
Absolutely.
Primo?
Yeah, I keep asking for this, and I feel like this is probably just a lost cause now, but at least makes me laugh. But I'm going to throw myself into this one as well. Because me, Kevin, Toof do this all the time anyway. So I mean, if we wanted to just do it on a podcast, it wouldn't really make that much difference. But if you guys give us a 5-star review, we will reenact the threesome scene from Wild Things.
Oh fuck yeah!
So
and Spence is gonna be the swimming pool.
Oh yes, he is.
Oh, yeah.
So just throwing that out there. I don't know how we'll do that, but I mean, if you want to find out, 5-star review, we'll figure it out. We do it all the time anyway.
All right, Toof, we need that words of wisdom. You hit us with some really good ones last time. The Comeback Kid.
Lately I've been diversifying my range of portfolios of porno sites I've been going on, and I decided that it's about time I make my own.
Oh yes,
I like this.
So at E3, I think they're doing a Metal Gear Solid 3 remaster or something like that with updated graphics. So I'm trying to beat the traffic, it's 5 o'clock. Wait a minute, no, I'm trying to beat the 5 o'clock traffic. It's 4:30. I made my own site. So all these people looking up Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid 3, and all this. So I made up a website for the dudes that just love just jacking it all day, just going ham on themselves, just just destroying themselves internally, externally. It's called solidsock.com.
Toof, how did you build up Metal Gear? Are you done with it? Is there more?
There's, I guess.
Okay, no, I won't say.
I've been posting our videos to it. And
Nice.
I'll mix in like a lot of porno, like tons of porno, like doggy style, like anal action, anal rodeo and stuff. Like
Nice.
that's actually a search. Like it's at the very top. It's like, do you want doggy style or anal rodeo?
That's all you. It's not even.
Dude, you are gonna love Two's porn site. It's got 2 categories. It's either doggy style or anal rodeo.
Hey, no, there's more. There's a third category. It's called ? You click on it. It's the Brothers Commonplace. It takes you straight to murderly.com.
Oh yes.
But Toof, I enjoyed the way that you talked about Metal Gear Solid 3 and pornos, and you never made a snake eater joke.
I mean,
Oh,
at least it was solid sock.
Solid
Yeah.
sock. Solid sock.
It was
is
close-
so fucking
close.
good, dude.
Hey, it's a box. That's just from Metal Gear. I don't know if you guys remember that.
My fucking girlfriend looked underneath my bed and she found a fucking baseball bat, but I was too scared to tell her it was actually my tube sock.
And that was right after I gave you the fucking movie My Girl for your birthday.
Every time I pull my sock apart from my underwear, I feel like it's fucking Excalibur.
You lived it. You're the only one that can.
The light comes down and shines on you when you do it.
Fuck yes, dude. Holy
Everyone
shit.
thinks I have a bad case of dandruff, but it's just all the fucking cum fecal flakes all on the ground.
Well, that's my new band name, so thanks, Doof.
Fecal flakes?
They're just called Frosted Flakes where I'm from.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening. Be good.
Stay safe.
Laugh the dark stuff. Hashtag wild man.
Hashtag wild man. Hashtag wild woman. Hashtag pretzel dog.
Swiss cheese. Hashtag Swiss cheese.
Hashtag wild thoughts.
Ooh.
Hashtag solid sock.
Hashtag solid sock. Wishes to do that from now on.
Hashtag murderly. Hashtag murder me.
Oh.
Hashtag miss murder.
Oh.
It just ended.
Hashtag she wrote.
My fucking grandpa, he's got dementia. And we watch the same movie every day. But the only movie that he owns is The Crying Game. And I see the dick reveal scene every day. So fuck you, Grandpa. I fucking hate you, Grandpa. I like Grandma better anyway. So fuck you, Grandpa. Fucking idiot, Grandpa. And I hate you more every single day.
This February, history will be made. Millions will watch as 80 years of unjust stigma is left in the past. A product that drove good people to the black market will be revealed as one that's creating a new global market. This February, what inspired the symbol of counterculture will at long last be seen as just culture. The new normal is coming. Will you be one of the first to see it? Visit medmen.com to watch an exclusive preview. This February, history will be made. Millions will watch as 80 years of unjust stigma is left in the past. A product that drove good people to the black market will be revealed as one that's creating a new global market. This February, what inspired the symbol of counterculture will at long last be seen as just culture. The new normal is coming. Will you be one of the first to see it? Visit medmen.com to watch an exclusive preview.